I'll hand it over to Dominic.
Yeah, hi John. Welcome along everyone. Just a couple of things to note. The target of this masterclass is the troop leaders and staff who are going on the troop lines, and it is intended to try and help you understand what you need to get there. We'll be muting most people who are not talking. If you do need to raise any questions, please put your hand up or raise a question in the chat. There'll be an opportunity at the big drop at the bottom of each slide to try and answer questions associated with that, and then we have general questions at the end. So thank you very much for your time tonight. We've got a good turnout, and we've got some people from the leadership team who will hopefully be able to lead us in on some of the developments and answer some of the more difficult questions that may come along. Now we are recording this presentation so that it can be distributed for those who are not able to make it tonight, and there will be slides for the presentation portion of this, but most of this information is taken from the guidebooks we have. If you don't want to be on video, that's cool. We have 63 now and climbing, but you are welcome to ask questions along the way. Awesome. So the goal here is to talk about where are you up to on your road to Jamboree. We've got trips from all over the country, and they need to get to Jamboree, and we need to be able to answer the questions, support you and get you all to Jamboree successfully. So just a quick reminder, you should have already received a couple of posters in your group kits, and we hope that you put those up at your Scout Hall to advertise Jamboree and to remind parents and youth about some of the milestones that will help you along your way. If you haven't seen those posters, please talk to your group leader. It's in the National Resource Kit that was sent out each group about a month ago. There is also the Time to Plan manual and the Jamboree notes, which are FAQs we release each week, which are placed on the NZ Jamboree website in the resources section. Now, we also regularly hold these masterclasses based on different subjects and as we develop more features. And so future masterclasses will offer you insight into the program, into catering and the menu, and any other further questions you might have. If you have any interest in a future masterclass, or you've got questions you want answered, if a lot of groups need the answers, we'll create a masterclass for that. But in general, they're once a month. We also have the Facebook forum. Now, this is one of our primary methods of communication. Now, Facebook obviously isn't ideal for everybody, but because we don't have the budget to develop our own applications and social media platform, we have chosen to use the NZ Jamboree 23 Facebook group as one of the most immediate social messaging social media methods for you to get your information. So we really encourage the group leaders, troop leaders, and all of their people to be on the Facebook group. If you're going to Jamboree, you really need to be there. Now, if you have people who don't want to be there, please, as a troop leader, make sure that you have somebody in your group that is looking after and monitoring the forum and just keeping an eye out. There's also the email lists, which are being used for distributing newsletters, and we now have group email lists that are coming out of your registrations. Coming soon, there's a Troop Leaders Manual, and I think we have Nathan on the call who is the Troop Support Team Lead Director. Nathan, do you have any info about when the Troop Leaders Manual might be ready for us?
Not at this stage.
Excellent. No worries. So there you go, everyone. Meet Nathan. He'll be one of the primary contacts for each of the troop leaders, and he will be communicating specific stuff directly to the troop leaders around your sites. Okay, so troop registrations. We've got over 60 troops already registered. We're about a third of the way through our targeted registrations, but we need you to start pushing your registrations through. We know that a lot of parents and youth have started their registrations, and obviously it is a reasonably involved process by the time you get through the photos and vaccinations and medical and all of the information needed. But we please encourage your youth and parents to complete the applications. The sooner that gets pushed through, the easier it is for us to get the troops and all of the activities sorted with that information. Obviously, we had a couple of days where we were doing some maintenance updates on OLMs, but I'm pleased to announce that it's been reopened in the last couple of hours, and so your youth and parents can now go back and continue with their applications. There may have been some challenges for people who have filled out their applications on mobile phones, and I'll see if Terry or registrations would like to say anything more about the OLMs reopening. Cool.
If I'm not going to say that, basically it is now opened, but and this is a big but, the registration for OLMs needs to be through your PC or your laptop. It is not available on mobile devices at all. So please use your PC and laptop to register on the registration system of the Jamboree.
Great. Now, as the youth applications go through, there is a section where the parents will get emailed and will ask for their approval. And then it should also go on to your group leader for their approvals. So you do need to make sure the parents are aware of that and that your group leaders are engaged. Obviously, we have many people looking after the registration system, and they will babysit and get in touch with people if there are any challenges in the applications that need repairing or fixing there. Now, solo scout.
Dominic,
Yes, Terry.
Could I just add something there?
Please.
The reason we took OLMs down is because the consent process was not working properly.
Okay.
We do have it now working, and what we're going to do is we're going to resend the mission forms for all scouts and all venturers soon. They'll be resent to the parents or the next of kin, and we're asking them to activate the link that's in the email that they'll get and approve the application. When they do that, the approval will then move on to the group leader. And the group leader, again, it's just a link and you click on it, and it'll approve the application. Now, a couple of things happen here. Scouts sometimes don't put in the correct group because they're picking from a list, so they'll pick the name above or below it. So you might find, if you're a group leader, you might get some strange applications, approvals. Don't worry about it. Simply send them on to registrations, because it's only the link in the email. We don't have to go back into the system, and registrations will forward it on to the correct group. I think that's all at the moment. Hopefully it'll work over the next couple of days. And none of this affects leaders. It's only scouts and venturers.
Now, remember here, Terry's just mentioned all the leaders on the troop lines, including the troop leader, need to have a registration. And it's going to be much easier, of course, if your troop leader gets their registration completed ASAP. They will get additional reporting tabs, so they're able to keep track of their own registrations, but only after they've completed their own registration. And please encourage venturers and additional parents or leaders that you have contact with your group to register as staff. Venturers and staff get additional options around their choices for what type of jamboree they're going to, or what activities they might be interested in providing their staff, helping hand with for staff. If you're a solo scout or part of a small part of a troop, you can still go and do all of the registration. It's good to get the registrations in, and then troop support will be going through and joining up solos or small part troops who haven't been able to organise their own wider contingent. They'll be joining those groups up in the next few terms, so that you know who you're going with. The more the merrier. Now, on that, we also need a lot of staff for Jamboree. Of the 3,000 or 4,000 youth that we want to have there, we need 1,000 to 1,500 adults or staff, which includes venturers acting as activity and site staff as well. This means that for every troop, we need to find usually 3 to 4 additional adults and 2 to 3 additional venturers to support everyone that's there. This is for all of the facilities on site. This is for all of the activities that the Scouts are going to be going and performing. So if your troop is full of adult or leader help, then please shoulder tap your additional leaders and parents and fellow members of your group and see which ones are interested to join as staff. There's lots of exciting roles and enjoyable tasks to be had at Jamboree. Fun for all to be had. And if you get in early, there is the opportunity to a greater chance of getting your choice of where you're going to get posted. So definitely have a conversation about some of the activities that are available and refer people to the videos online on our YouTube page from last year's Jamboree to give people a bit of an insight as to what they might be able to do when they come along to Jamboree. As a group, you can also think about ways that you may support them, either by contributing to their fee or including them in the fundraising. Now, obviously, the troops have got a bunch of scouts who need to get to Jamboree, and here's just a quick discussion about some of the ways in which we need to prepare our youth to get to Jamboree. So hopefully most of your groups have got any cubs who are going to graduate to Scouts and come along to Jamboree. They should be up by the beginning of next term, so that they get a good 2 or 3 terms in Scout section to build the relationships and to complete some of the guideline prerequisites that we've put forward. Now, there are guidelines here which are completely at the discretion of the troop leaders. At the end of the day, we have set out guidelines around the number of camping nights and the adventure skills badges that should be considered, but it is really up to the troop leader to make the decision with the group as to the maturity and the suitability of the youth to be there. At the end of the day, they are providing the adult care overnight, and you need to have confidence that the youth are able to camp by themselves at Scouts, and that they have some of the basic personal skills for health, well-being, hygiene, and cooking and looking after themselves, and coping with close contact camping for an extended period of time. The best way to do that is to have them in the scout section doing scouting and going out camping. Some groups develop a youth code of conduct to talk about behaviour, work on badge design, gateway design, sun smart uniform features, shirt with collar, brimmed hat, scarf, woggles. And then for our patrol leaders, it's recommended that a Sanford's course or youth leadership practice is put into place. So being patrol leaders for a period of time and taking responsibility for the patrol and the activities really helps them with maturity and helping them manage the younger youth in their patrol. One of the great traditions is the old Jamboree shakedown camp. We know of some regions having this around the Labour weekend period, and it can be a great opportunity for you to practice with some of the equipment that maybe hasn't come out for a while and show all of the leaders, parents and youth how some of that equipment works. So, quick opportunity for any questions there, comments? Cool. Cool. So moving on to adults. So obviously your troop leader and some of...
With an hand up, sorry.
Excellent. Sorry, yes, is that?
Yes, it's Joke here. Hi,
Joke.
Dominic. Regarding the Jamboree newsletter,
Yes.
at some point I did email you and found that only one of our leaders, who actually recently left, had received that one, because I asked several people, how do we register? And according to our zone person, Tracy, she said, oh, everyone should have received an email to register. And so I asked a few people. One registered through the link Tracy gave us, and then came across this scout leader who recently left. He said, oh, this must be what you mean, and that was your newsletter. So then he forwarded it to me, and that's how I did contact you. I don't get this one, but in the meantime, none of our scouts had registered, and none of the other leaders had received that email with the link for registering. And in the meantime, we sent out to all our scouts and venture our own letter with the link. And so far, 5 or 4 have registered. But what basis are your newsletters being sent off? On Mahi Tahi or?
So thank you for your question. So we're not able to get access to the email lists in Mahi Tahi. We have, so we've had to generate our own mailing list. If you're aware of any leaders who have not joined the mailing list, we'll be sending out regular newsletters and information on the Facebook page. And if you can share the Google link for them to register to the newsletter, that would be great.
So the newsletter is purely for leaders or for scouts and venturers as well?
The information is for leaders.
Okay.
And for troop leaders. So it's the technical information about how to get to Jamboree, and it's not designed. It needs to be, messaging needs to be changed into the troop language by the troop leader if they want to distribute to the youth. Now, there's no reason why they can't see that information, but we're not allowed to communicate directly with the youth. We have to go either through the leaders or through the parents. Now in the future, we will be able to communicate more directly with the parents as they register, but only once they've fully completed a registration.
Cool.
Right?
Okay.
So really encourage you to get all of your leaders who are going to join you at Jamboree or support you to be on the Facebook group and to also have the newsletter. Now the newsletter will only, the email will only be repeating what is on the Facebook group. We publish everything in 3 places simultaneously: on the website, on the Facebook and through the email. So you will get 3 copies of it if you check all
Yes.
3.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Dom, there was one of the questions in the chat if you want to answer this one as well. Do you want me to read it out to you?
Yeah, but we might come back to that one at the end. Is that all right?
Yeah, there's a few of them. That's why I'm just checking.
Yeah, so we'll go through, collect those up and come back to them at the end. So let's just finish the next couple of slides here. Adults need to be prepared for Jamboree, and it's going to be much easier if they have already filled out a leader application or a volunteer application on the Scouts New Zealand website. That will start off all of the prerequisite police checks and associate that leader with your group if they haven't been in the past. This is really required anyway if they're going to go camping with the group, right? And they should be doing camping and getting to know the youth so that they're able to communicate with them. You may decide that some of your leaders need first aid courses. That's always helpful. And there will be some future online training just to be worked through at the moment around the basic safeguarding training and the Scouts New Zealand Code of Ethics policy, which all leaders are supposed to have completed. The police application system is fairly streamlined now, and it seems to be working really well in the groups. So if we're able to do this sooner rather than later, we won't have a great bubble of people needing to do this around November, December. We have in previous years had real challenges with a bubble of people trying to get police checked way too late. Okay, now your group needs to set their own budget, of course, for getting to Jamboree, or maybe work with your zone on it. We set the Jamboree fee, or the management team has set the Jamboree fee, and there are then your costs added to that, which are variable depending on where you're travelling from, what tables, chairs, furniture and marquee you already have, what types of t-shirts, hats, scarves, badges, gas, ice and consumables you choose to include. And there is quite a varied base youth Jamboree fee from different parts of the country, anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000, depending on how much travel is involved. Some groups will also choose to offset the leader fee costs or staff costs. And of course, you'll then go and do your own fundraising, grants, etc., to cover that. Fee payments back for the Jamboree fee portion of this, of course, need to be done around the May time frame. That will come out in the next few newsletters. And September, October will be any balance to finally wash that up.
Dominic, can
Yes,
I
Terry,
update
thanks.
that?
Please.
The deposit invoices will go out now at the end of May.
Lovely.
And the final invoices will go out at the end of October.
Great, thanks, Terry.
And could I just repeat myself from earlier? I see there's a message here and I can't respond to it. The consent process has been rerun. So don't worry about parents who might have already got it or not got it. In the next few days, a revised consent form will be sent to them.
Right.
Sorry, it's just responding to the message. I've been trying to answer it and won't let me.
Now, for groups working on grants, there's a process that came out in the newsletter. You can communicate with Terry around getting the grant breakdown for the Jamboree fee. And your groups should have already seen the Charities Association documentation from National Office. So both of those pieces of information are absolutely critical to successful grants and will make people's lives much easier. We so really recommend that you try and subsidise some of your travel or Jamboree fee with grants is a good way to fundraise. There is also the Scout Youth Foundation has money for hardship available. There have been some information about that in the newsletter. Troop leaders and group leaders need to get an application for that directly through to us and then on to the Scout Youth Foundation. So if you do have any cases where you want to support families in getting to Jamboree, please take advantage of that. The investment funds that the Scout Youth Foundation run are there for the youth and need to be used. Right? We would hate for youth to miss out just because groups didn't know that this was available to them. Obviously, it's not unlimited, but we've had a few very successful applications already completed through that process. Now, Nathan's here. He's obviously the contact for the site and for the troops. We've been told that it's approximately similar size to previously, 700 square metres. The troop leaders later in the year will be given a site name, code number, and the dimensions, and they'll be around coming out in about term 4. Gateways, there's been an update that the gateways need to be made out of natural materials and pioneering, and there'll be some more information coming out about that soon. And the fences around your site, as in the past, basically electric fence standards. If your group's ordering marquees, then there is a preferred marquee supplier on the Scouts Resources tab of the web page, and they've provided pricing for us. The advantage, of course, there is that they're coming on site a few days before, and they'll erect everybody's marquees. Some troops are taking their equipment along in containers rather than trucks, and if you can discuss with troop support about your requirements for transport and unloading and location. At this stage, we don't think there's going to be any unloading capability, so the trucks that deliver need to have the ability to unload. And your troop leaders will provide a site plan into the troop support team, and that will contain markings of where your tents are expected to be, where your marquees and containers will be located, so that they can be parked in the right location for you. That will also be in term 4. Gas, as before, can be hired on site. Remember, you can't transport large numbers of gas bottles. And drinking water, as before.
Dom, can I just say something about containers?
Please.
We do need to know if they are bringing containers to site. So they need to let Nathan's team know.
Cool.
And also, while we're talking about containers, there was a question earlier about Kiwi Rail. So, I mean, John can back me up on this. As far as I'm aware, the information we sent out about Kiwi Rail is just transporting your container. It's not; they don't actually provide the containers. Is that right, John?
That is correct. They don't provide the containers, but it is transporting from A to B and back again.
And the information was on that form.
Yes.
Yep.
Wait. All right. Now, obviously, along with the marquees, you'll need to be booking your transport, doing a deposit, and working out the logistics of getting your youth and your truck and transfers to site. There is contacts for the local bus provider. We're working through that at the moment, and they should be able to sort out the bus transfers and the logistics of that. So the contact for Womble and organising that will be in one of the next newsletters. So for troop-specific questions, troop leaders, assistant troop leaders, and key troop questions, troop support's always there for you. The Troop Leaders Manual is your Bible once that gets released, and certainly you can always ask on the forum. We will try to keep the forum relatively accurate. We encourage people to respond with answers. If we find answers are completely wrong, you might find that answer removed and revised, but it's supposed to be a friendly, open place for people to sort of discuss all things Jamboree. If things get too far off topic, i.e. it's not scouting or Jamboree related, or it's blatantly advertising products that we can't endorse, then we may need to remove some of the postings. But it's all in good faith. Right? We just want to provide a community where everybody feels like they can deal with the question of the moment in a timely manner. You can always email camp support, you can always email registrations, you can always email Marie at inquiries, or you can email the communications team. If we're not able to answer the question or it's not related to us, we will always forward that through to the relevant department, who's going to be able to come back to you directly. Right. And you have a lot of expertise, obviously, in your zone teams, and they're always welcome to be included in all of the communication that we're doing. It's important that the zone teams are able to support you well as well. So thank you very much for going through that. I hope that was helpful. We've got good opportunity now to go through and review the questions there. I'll hand it over to Marie and John to have a look through those.
So do we have any questions? If not, we will, what we've been asked tonight online, we will...
John, you've got a question there from Chris.
Oh,
Yep, go ahead.
Hi, Tom. Sorry, there's been a lot of messages going through, and I've missed, while I was writing notes, I missed some of the answers. So with the invoicing, the invoice will go into each group, but if your troop is a mixture of 3 groups, can the invoice go to the troop, because we're running our own budget and running our own finances for the 3 groups?
yes.
Is that how that can work, or does it have to go through the group, though
No.
you've got 3 groups in your troop? It's just hard to know where the money's coming from if you're managing it as the troop leader, but you've got 3 groups paying it at different times.
So your Jamboree troop gets run as a separate financial entry or under one of the groups, and so the troop will be invoiced.
Okay, the troop, thank you. That's right. Yeah.
And so the troop runs their own finances under
Yes.
the assistance of the group. You can ask if you need special invoices or invoices raised to different destinations, then that can be negotiated with the finance team. And Terry, did you hear the question? Because he might be able to add some extra information there.
No, sorry, I didn't hear the question. Sorry, what was it?
The question was whether the troops are invoiced or the groups are invoiced.
It's just gone up on the chat group there.
Yes.
Invoices are issued to the Jamboree troop leader.
Thank
We
you.
rely on the troop leader to pass it on to the treasurer or whoever.
Yes.
And venturers and staff will get individual invoices. And I'm sorry to contradict you, Dominic, but there are no special invoicing arrangements.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks,
You
Terry.
get one invoice goes to the Jamboree troop leader, and staff and venturers will get their own.
So when I said special invoicing, I believe that for grants you can sometimes raise part invoice to pay a grant.
If you're talking about grants, you will give a special quote. And if you need a special quote.
Thanks.
Dominic, there's another hand up with first sorry, I don't know how to say it. The scout group.
First Nongataha. Yeah, my question
Thank
is
you.
about the badges. They need to go to Jamboree Committee for approval. What's the turnaround time from when we submit to when we get the okay?
So that's usually relatively quickly. All they're doing is just checking that you meet the guidelines of non-copyrighted and non-offensive. And so that stuff gets turned around relatively quickly so that you're able to go and get the badges produced. If you've got any query, you can email the hub and they'll work with you on that. This is for the official badges, and they will be using the information you supply to produce a badge booklet guide, so troops know what are all of the badges available and what they're for.
So that turnaround time is what, 7 days, 28 days? What's reasonably quickly?
I think 1 to 2 weeks, but we haven't actually got somebody from that team on the call, so we'll check on that and get back to you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dominic.
Yes.
Sorry, can I butt in again? There's a lot of misinformation around, or misunderstandings around our invoicing system.
Mm.
I was saying it right from the start. When at the 30th of May, the 1st of May, we will invoice the troops for the people who have registered as at that date. So the troop leaders will get an invoice for whatever it is, $200 multiplied by the number of people registered. In October, you will get an invoice for the balance that is due. So there's no cut-off dates for people registering. I see there's a note in here assuming a cut-off once you paid your deposit. No. We'll pick up the after May, the full fee will be included in the final invoice. So there is no cut-off for anybody. And the same thing applies to staff. We will invoice you for the deposit at the end of the month in which you register, and ventures for that matter, and then you'll get the final invoice in October. So is everyone clear about that? I don't want to harp on it, but there's a whole lot of contradictory stuff appearing in the chat group. But there is the gospel.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that, Terry.
Can I clarify it again? The troops, your troop, you will be invoiced on the 31st of May, and that invoice will be for $200 multiplied by the number of people registered to your troop on that day. In October, you will receive an invoice for the number of people registered multiplied by the full fee minus the earlier invoice. Is that clear? And staff.
And that will be outlined again and again in the newsletter in the coming weeks.
Yeah, look, it really only involves troop leaders. They're the only people who are concerned with it. But please, that's the way it works. So just clear up the misunderstandings that appear to be there at the moment. And there's cut-off. There is no cut-off for registrations. The system is a live system, and it stays open right up until the Jamboree. And we'll pick up if there's any late entries. We'll pick them up, and you'll be invoiced at the Jamboree.
Can I just sorry, can I butt in? Just a proviso on that is that if you're registering right up until Jamboree, you are doing a disservice to your troop.
Yes.
If you're doing that, that's all.
Yeah, no, good point, Lawrence. That's exactly right. Generally, what we find is someone is sick or is injured, and there's a substitute comes along. We find that, and we sort that out at the Jamboree.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to reiterate, is that the troops make their own decision around cut-off. A troop is obviously going to have to make a call about at what point your bus numbers and truck numbers and aeroplane numbers and troop numbers need to be locked in. And you're not going to be able to take on youth at the last minute if they haven't been through suitable preparation for Jamboree. So that it is on the troop leaders to make their call. the Jamboree team will be as flexible as possible. If you have late last-minute substitutions, additional people, we will always find ways to get as many youth to Jamboree as is humanly possible. And we'll work with you on that as much as we can. The sooner that you set that, of course, the simpler it makes everybody's lives. Right. So that question there, when is the very last day a scout or venturer can register? You need to make that decision yourself. It's probably not practical the day before Jamboree, but the question is, at what would be the last point in time where a troop leader would be willing to accept a scout into Jamboree to go with them? Right. There's a question there from Chris around how do we get hold of the vector art for the Jamboree logo. We're about to release the design guidelines and the vector art that we have for this, so that will be on the Jamboree website, so that can be used for your own badge modifications in the near future.
Jess has asked, could we please get more details regarding what is meant by natural materials for the gate?
Great. So this is finalised for the troop leaders manual, but there will be a Jamboree note coming out. At this stage, things like bamboo, manuka poles and ropes, as opposed to or compared to not man-made materials like plywood, corrugated iron, MDF.
Sorry, Dom, can I come in there?
Please.
Sorry, I just dropped my pen on the ground. So we have what's called the Jamboree Youth Leadership Team. They have about 30 scouts. What we do is we engage them with a number of things, and one of them was asking this team of scouts what did they want to see regarding the gateways. They've come back to us and said that they would like it to be natural, which is manuka poles, bamboo and things like that. What they've said is if along the lines of pioneering, because these are scouts are going, actually, what would you like to see at Jamboree? And they've come back to us and said they would like it to be natural. So we've covered that, but also that it's like using pioneering skills. So ropes, manuka poles, that sort of thing to be able to build it. So we will come out with some more information for you soon, but that's the background on that one.
Chris Keane has raised his hand.
Yeah, Chris.
So just further to what Lawrence just said, we've been talking about within our troop and what we're planning to use with manuka poles and stuff, but we still want to be able to put a sign of our name on the board, on the gate. So we're looking at using card core flute, which is waterproof,
Yes,
but it's recyclable, biodegradable. Are you looking at those sorts of products as well, that we can use recyclable products, not wood?
Yeah. So at this stage, the detail hasn't been finalised, but we believe that any signage that's being used to label the site is in addition to the gateway and doesn't need to be of natural materials, because it's going to be fairly standard that people might have a square of core flute, plywood, etc., which has got something painted on it as in your identity. We may not be able to get away from that. It's a bit hard to paint your name on a manuka pole. But the structure of gateway at this stage now, we're just waiting for this to be written out. So hopefully we're not putting you too far wrong.
Thank you.
Brendan has asked, are the patrols going to be able to pick their own programs again this year?
Lawrence, do you want to talk about that? Now, we haven't got the detail of the program. Sorry, I'll hand it over to Lawrence, Director, for this one.
So that's a good question. We went back out to our advisors, so the Jamboree Youth Leadership Team, and they've come back to us and give us some feedback. We have a Jamboree meeting in 2 weeks' time, and we'll come out with something else after that. But we just wanted to confirm a couple of things.
Lawrence, will that include that there is no overnight this time?
I can answer that one. There's no overnight.
Thank you.
Can we just confirm, Dom, that we've answered all the questions in the chat? If it's anybody's that had a question answered, please let us know.
There's still a few additional ones, but we hope to be able to answer you offline. Rory's asked as to whether or not there's going to be a troop leaders camp. I believe that's being decided at the moment. It's around the cost associated with getting the troop leaders together. Hasn't yet been decided. How many years till the next one?
Good question. So, sorry, I just butted straight in.
Please.
Sorry, Dom. So I've been told by my zone leader that the board have made a decision regarding venture that it's every 3 years. And the board are due to make a decision on Jamboree. But I had a look in the calendar. The next meeting for the board is in 20th, 21st of May. So hopefully we'll hear after that. But that's the information that I have at the moment.
Thank you.
Saddleview have asked, can any links please be included in the main email body?
Yes, definitely. We try to include the text so that you don't have to follow links. We also try to include text versions so you don't have to open PDFs, but we do provide print-ready versions for those that prefer to print. So any suggestions like that to make your emails and newsletters more readable, please forward those through to us. We're open to all of the suggestions. We just want to be able to get the information out. Hi, Tanya.
So, there you go. Go for it, Sarah. Hello.
Hey.
I was just wanting. Well, no, I can't remember what I was going to say now. You got excited, didn't you? It's all right. She forgot the question. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh. Personal gear list. When will they be coming out, please?
The personal gear list is actually set by the troop leaders. Now, if you have a look on the Jamboree forum, we had a question about this recently, and we provided an example personal gear list.
Yes, you did. I got that. Thank you.
And I don't think it's going to. We won't be centrally setting anything more than that.
Okay.
If there is any special gear required for any of the activities, so sometimes boat shoes or something like that, then definitely we'll let you know about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Yoka.
Yoka, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Raise the hand, not to mute. With the water activities, does Jamboree supply all the helmets for the sailing?
Yes, if there's any helmets or life jackets required, then the activity is going to be including those. Similarly for climbing or go-karting. The sorts of equipment might be recommendations for long pants or closed shoes, or boot shoes have been used in the past. Those would be sort of the main recommendations, or possibly throwaway shirt and pants if the activity is particularly muddy and smelly. They might decide to have disposable clothes. Not that we would ever have a muddy, smelly activity at Jamboree. That would be no good. Excellent.
Okay, no, cheers, thanks.
Thank you. How high can your scouts build? There will be a maximum. There will be a height limitation. It's actually imposed by Health and Safety and Mystery Creek, but we're not sure what that height is at the moment. It'll be clarified in the Troop Leaders Manual and on details of the gateway width and height. Nathan or Mason, do you have any info on the gateway sizes yet?
Yes, we do. We're still just tidying up a few loose ends, but there will be a height limit of about 2.4 metres, which was last time. There will be a minimum width of the gateway that you walk through. So the actual opening will be must be able to get 2 people side by side walking through. This is mainly if there's an evacuation that people can get through without any obstructions, but anything else will be sort of covered in the Troop Leaders Manual. We will try and get the snippets of it out earlier, because there'll be still a lot of information we're gathering to complete the whole document, which normally takes another few months, but we will try and strive to get some crucial information out sooner than later as well, to assist in planning. So please bear us while we just tidy up the few loose ends and making sure we got our wording correctly.
Great, thanks, Nathan. And that's the gateway stuff is just about ready to release, and that will help so that you've got plenty of time to do your gateway development. And yes, just to answer Scouts from Martins. Yes, there's going to be if your existing gateways in the cupboard are made of plywood or pine wood, etc., then yes, there's going to be obviously sections of those that can't be reused, and this is really to encourage the youth to have a go at new design and something traditional. And there'll be clarification around nails and screws. There may be limited ability to use screws, just so that we can make these structures safe from inadequate scout knots. Cool. Look, we're just about at time. I'd like to just throw it over to Lawrence for a quick last word, or any of the other leadership team. Any outstanding questions, please email them through to inquiries. We will weed through the messages that have been left, and if there's any that we've missed, we'll address those on the forum, or we'll get an email out to you. Please, from me, thank you very much for coming, and please make sure that you and your other leaders are signed up to the Facebook and to the leader email. It really helps us with communication, and yes, you're going to get the same information several times, but we do find that people read different things and have challenges with communicating, and so the more times we put information out, hopefully it will stick and help you to get there in a timely manner. Awesome stuff. Lawrence.
Awesome. Oh, there you go. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everyone who's been able to come on, and also that we've been able to record it so to get it out to everyone else. Looking forward to Jamboree. I know there's a whole lot of questions, and hopefully we've answered some of those. And then some of the things that we've said, obviously it's created more questions. I can see somebody now wants to use cable ties, so we'll answer that offline. But thank you so much. I'm looking forward to Jamboree, looking forward to what we can do together. But it's going to be exciting. We've got a lot of stuff planned, and can't wait to share that with you when we can. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Lawrence and John.
And thank you all very much. And we'll see you again in about a month's time. Until then, more details to come. Take care.